Hi friend, I'm Lydia and I sew things, and today I'm coming at you with my first free tutorial, and I'm very excited because I'm going to show you how to make this little bag. It's a cute little, what I'm calling a mini shopping bag, and my inspiration behind it was the recent closure of Joann Fabrics. I came home, I went to the store and I did what I think is going to be my last shopping trip to the store, and I got some yarn and I got a few things, and honestly I just found myself walking the aisles and just kind of enjoying being there. But it was so sad because everyone was sad that the store was closing, and they're just thinking, oh my gosh, where are we gonna get our craft supplies now? And now there's no fabric stores anywhere. I'm lucky I live in San Diego and I have a few local options. But anyway, I felt inspired to create something, and I was inspired by this. It is just a mini little bag that they give you at Joann's when you buy stuff. So I did it. I took it and I drew my own little schematic here, and then I did my mock-up and I created a PDF pattern for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you step by step how I created this, and also after this tutorial I'm going to add a few hacks maybe on my blog or just do more videos. But this is what I did, and I just put some rhinestones on it, and now it's a cute little crafty bag. And I love to knit socks too, so it's like the perfect size for a little sock knitting project. So I would consider this more of a maybe intermediate project, but if you want to give it a try, please stick around and I'd love to see what you make. Let's get to it. All right, keep watching. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to make this bag today. It is a very cute little, I call it a mini shopping bag. I was inspired by this little Joann's bag, and it's kind of my little way of saying goodbye to Joann's. So I used this, and then I drew a schematic just to take you behind the design process a little bit, and then I did a mock-up, and then I went ahead and sewed my sample. So what I really like about this is that the selvage of fabrics, especially denim, lends itself very nicely to it. So I just used the selvage, and you can put trim on here, and there's so many things you can do with this. And then these little openings, I just used a bias binding, and I hand sewed it. So I'll show you how to do all that. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut out the pattern. I love this little edge right here, and that's going to be the bottom of my bag. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up, and this makes an excellent pattern weight. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to transfer my pattern markings, and I'm going to use this Taylor's chalk here, but you could also just use a little white colored pencil. So I'm going to start by just drawing the outline to the handle, and then these are your notches. This is where I'm going to fold it shortly. Thing makes it super easy. And then I just use my thumb there to kind of hold it, and then I just, and see, you can see the marks there and there. Okay, and then I do that on the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I love these little embroidery scissors. I got them on the TikTok shop of all places, but they're so pretty. I just love this little handle. It shimmers. And they cut so nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this out on both sides. Okay. That's one. Okay, so the next thing I'll do, I'm going to finish my edges. So I'm just gonna take this, and then the top edge, and I am going to serge them. This is a really quick way to finish your serger tails, is just tie a knot. Bam, that's it. And then just cut off the rest. Okay, so I'm all done serging. Now we're going to flip it right sides together and sew just down that side. Okay, just down this side. Okay, so I just put 2 pins here just to help me out and keep it nice and straight. And then I'm going to sew that down using my 1/2 inch seam allowance. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to sew around the perimeter of the handle opening, kind of like stay stitching it a little bit. So I'm going to sew around that. Okay. So I'm sewing around the perimeter of the handle just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm just using my little presser foot as a guide. And then I'll go ahead and do the other one as well. So let's go ahead and flip it right side out. Okay, I'm turning her right side out. Just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and make these pleats, and I'm going to take my markings and I'm going to pinch them and bring them together just like this. Okay. These sewing clips are really great. Okay, so, because I know getting a pin through all this denim would be hard to do. Okay, so here's another one, and I'm just gonna pull it. Just kind of make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, that's one side, and then I'm gonna take the other one, start at the bottom, and just bring them together. Make sure that this edge is nice and straight. Actually bring in the, there you go. Make sure that edging's nice and straight. Okay, and then here's my other marking. You can see right here. And I can't, the other one kind of disappeared a little bit, so let's kind of wing it. Just kind of fold it to where it's straight. There we go. And the other thing we can kind of, oops, that broke. Okay. If your markings kind of disappear like that, which happens with the tailor chalk and stuff, just take your pattern and line it up, and then you can see that it's close enough. See? Your little notches are where the folds are, basically, just like that. Okay? All right. So I'm going to take this to the iron, and I'm going to press that nice and flat. Okay? Okay, here's my little pressing station. So I'm going to take my iron, and I am just going to press those folds. Okay, so to hem the top, I'm just going to eyeball it, but you could use a tool like this. Or like this, it's marked, and it's not gonna burn you. If you use something like this thing, it heats up with the iron and it literally burns my fingers. So I don't really use this one as much, but it also works nicely. So here, I'll show you how to use this one, but you just fold it over to however much you want to hem, and for us here it's 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to fold it over like that, and then you give it a press, and then you do that all around the perimeter of the top. So I'm just going to eyeball the rest. Okay, here we go. That's good. When you come up to the seam, I'm going to suggest you fold it to the back. I folded one open and it laid a little funky, so I didn't like it. So I'm just going to fold it to the back, which technically is what you should do anyway. But stuff happens, and if it's not perfect, hey, so what? It's your bag. But usually you're supposed to fold your seams towards the back. All right. So now I'm just gonna fix these pleats with the folds. And I'm gonna put a clip on the bottom because the clip will not hold this. This is too much. It's too thick. I would need bigger clips for that. Okay. So I'm just gonna hold this. And I'm gonna give these another press. I don't know why I'm blowing at the screen. Actually, let me fold this a little better. It's a little straighter. There we go. Okay, so that's it for this. I'm gonna sew down the bottom. So I'm going to seal the bottom, and then I am going to go ahead and sew down the hem on the top. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna sew the bottom of the bag. Okay, and now I'm gonna sew the top hem on the bag. Back stitch. I'm gonna pull around. So full circle. There we go. Okay. And I am gonna go ahead and give this another little press. And then we'll move on to the handles. Okay, so to finish the handles, I'm going to use this red double fold bias tape. So I'm going to bind the handle and finish it that way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the end of the bias tape just a little bit, about a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to sew it all around the opening, just a little bit over the stay stitching, okay? I'm going to guide myself with the fold of the bias tape, and I'm just gonna go around. And because it's bias, it's going to conform itself to the curves, which is great, okay? Let's go. If you come across, when you come across to the curvier portions there, you can grade it a little bit. Like this. I'll show you on this one. You just kind of cut into it just a little bit up to the stitching. This fabric has a little bit of stretch to it, the denim, so I've been able to get around that a little bit. Just if you do cut it, just make sure you watch it there, because you end up with very, very little seam allowance. All right, so I came back around, and then I'm just gonna sew just over where I folded the first part of the bias. Back stitch. And then I am just going to trim that. Okay. So now I am going to trim the denim portion of this. Just get rid of some of that bulk. The other thing you can do to finish this is do a little embroidery, like a blanket stitch, or you can even do like a satin stitch with which is just a zigzag around, that would look cool. Okay, so I'm just trimming here a little bit. Okay, so then what we're going to do, and this is really cool, we're going to just flip everything to the other side. Okay, just flip all the bias tape to the other side. Okay. And then what you do is you fold it. This is our initial little quarter fold. You're gonna fold it once, okay, and then you're gonna fold it twice, like this. And you're gonna fold it all around. So, let me do that, and then I'm going to pin it. Fold it once, and you fold it twice. Turn that around so you can see. So I tend to do the flatter edges first, the top and the bottom, and then I tackle the curve. Okay. Fold once, and then you fold it twice. And then I'm just going to pin it. And the way the camera is angled, it's hard for me to see, but I want you to be able to see it. So, okay, here we go. So then the corners, you just do the same thing. Just like that, it's folded twice. And then you do the other side. Just like that. Okay, so then what you do, so this is the back side, and this is what it looks like in the front. And what you do is you press it, and then we are going to, I like to hand sew. I do a slip stitch all around, or you could go ahead and just machine sew the binding on the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same to the other side. Okay, I've threaded my needle, and I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch all around the binding. If you find your thread gets a little tangled, and usually if it's longer, it does happen to me often, you can always run it through some beeswax. And that'll help with the tangling and also make it a little sturdier. Okay, so the thing about the slip stitch is that it renders itself invisible, and you're not supposed to see it from the front side or the right side of the fabric. So I like to hide my little thread tail in the back there. So what you do is you grab a couple threads, a few threads of the main fabric, and then you're going to run your needle right underneath that at about 1/4 inch. I tend to go a little bit, maybe 3/8 of an inch, but it really depends on how you want to do it. Okay. And as I mentioned before, you could just top stitch this or stitch it with a sewing machine and just go all around the border, but then you'll be able to see the thread. And that could also be something decorative that you do, so it's totally up to you. I find hand sewing relaxing, so I do like to do it this way, and I like the way it looks. So, oops. Sorry about that. Go. So just continue in that motion. You grab a few threads from the fabric. Then you go underneath it, underneath where you grabbed the threads, and then you carry the thread or the needle over about 1/4 inch. The books and everything will say 1/4 inch usually. And then come here, you remove these pins. And there, and you just continue in this motion all the way around. Grab a few threads. Carry the needle down. Grab a few threads. Take out your pin. Do a few more here. Carry that. Grab a few threads. And thus. And then once you're done going around, you'll give it a press. And that'll help seal everything in too, especially if you're using a beeswax too. It makes it nice and solid. Okay. I'll continue around and be right back. Okay, so I finished my hand sewing and I pressed the handles one more time. And that's it. Now you have yourself a nice little bag, a little project bag for knitting, or really just whatever you'd like to make. Because now you have a blank canvas and you can go ahead and embroider it, put some rhinestones on it like I did here. But really, sky's the limit. Have fun. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial for this fun little bag. And I'm sorry if I stumble on my words sometimes or they sound funny. I still get a little nervous in front of the camera. But please follow me, leave a comment, and subscribe for more tutorials and tips on how to sew. Thank you. Bye.